AGI is still a new beast in a way because people have been using cloud for quite some time. We already see quite a bit of interest in this space, and I feel that we're getting into the FOMO effect, like fear of missing out effect. A couple of years ago, manufacturing and enterprise companies, they were just curious about AGI. Yeah, this is interesting, this is cool, we're going to keep an eye on this. And now they're like, okay, I need to do something about it. And we see more and more use cases coming up.
Hi, are you interested in AI and would like to know how to apply it in business? I'm Gosia, and as the host of the AI at Scale podcast by Schneider Electric, I invite AI practitioners and experts to share their experiences, challenges, and AI success stories. Our podcast features real AI solutions and innovations. Welcome back. This is Gosia Górska, the host of the Schneider Electric AI at Scale podcast. Today, I meet Evgeni Gousev, chair of Edge AI Foundation, formerly known as TinyML, a global organization dedicated to advancing ultra-low power machine learning technologies. Evgeni is also the senior director and AI lead at Qualcomm. His work has earned him numerous accolades, including induction into the Micro-Electromechanical Systems and Sensors Industry Grabs Hall of Fame. And Evgeni also held academic professorship with Rutgers University and Hiroshima University. He holds a MS degree in applied physics and a PhD in solid-state physics. He holds over 60 patents and has published extensively in the field. So we are very happy to welcome you, Evgeni.
Thank you for having me here, Gosha. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Actually, one source was stating that you have even filed over 100 patents. So do you count? Do you remember how many?
I think I stopped counting about maybe 10 years ago. So.
Okay, I see. Well, it's definitely a pleasure of having you in our podcast. And the first question that I wanted to ask you is about the foundation. So can you share the journey of Edge AI Foundation from its inception as TinyML to its current state? What is your mission and what are you currently working on?
Absolutely. So, formally speaking, the foundation started around 6 years ago, actually 7 years ago in 2018. But the whole TinyML motion started probably about 10 years ago from independent companies working in this field. Back then at Qualcomm, we started the project on ultra-low power vision. So basically, the goal was to see if we can run a computer vision at extremely low power, like less than 1 milliwatt. At the same time, we had some activities in other companies too, like Google, Microsoft, and other companies started to work in this field. And that was a recognition that devices were getting better, smarter, models were getting into the field, and like convolutional network models. And also software was becoming more capable. So that was natural for companies to start playing with this type of capabilities. So we work on this project at Qualcomm for about 4 years. We launched our first product in 2017 on computer vision. And that's when we realized that, yes, it's real. It can be a big opportunity. We start talking to other companies and people from the academia. And we realized that we really need to build an ecosystem. We really need to build a community here. So that's where the idea was conceived. How it was kind of basically a natural progression of technology evolution. And some leading companies like Qualcomm, Google, Microsoft, ARM, we were already working on this. And then we had our first gathering. It was in the Google campus in February of 2018. And we were very surprised that the interest was overwhelming. And for us, that was a testimony that, yes, this is real. There is a lot of interest. And then we decided to form an organization, TinyML Foundation, that will be leading this movement, basically. And that's how it was created. And then over the past 7 years, the growth and the journey has been phenomenal. So we've been growing in all dimensions. So geographies, number of people, number of companies, number of products, number of business opportunities, number of students in the academia. So it's been really a very, very rewarding journey for us. Just to give you some numbers there, I think over these years, the foundation has been supported by more than 100 companies. We have about 40 companies now who are our strategic partners, including Schneider Electric. Schneider Electric joined Dynamo Foundation about 3 years ago as an active member there, and similar companies there. So we have over 25,000 people, members worldwide. And one number that we are very proud of is the number of people, students we've educated in this field. Over the past 2 years, more than 100,000, like 100,000. That's how many zeros? 7 zeros. Students or professionals worldwide, they took TinyML classes on energy efficient machine learning and applications. So again, this just shows the magnitude of this. So that was, again, it's been like a phenomenal journey and growth. And last year, we also made a decision to expand the scope of the foundation into a broader mission, into AGI as well. And we'll talk about AGI in a minute, what AGI is and what AGI means for companies and for the business. So basically, we had an inflection point last year. We expanded our scope, and now it was also rebranded as AGI Foundation with a bigger mission, bigger scope, and bigger base, community base. So that's in a nutshell where we are. And what we do is the foundation actually drives this ecosystem forward. It connects companies, businesses, academia through various means. So we have several working groups. We have events. We do research projects. We have scholarship fund to support students. Many activities there, and people can go to the website agifoundation.org. It's one word, agifoundation.org, and all this information is there. So that's in a nutshell where we are and what we do.
Yeah, so the numbers are really impressive. And if more than 100 companies are participating today and supporting the foundation, can you explore and explain to our audience what exactly is AGI? What are some of the most exciting applications of AGI that you believe are actually changing the industry right now, and why these companies are involved?
Yeah, when people talk about AI, and people talk a lot about AI these days, it always the default thinking is ChatGPT, right? That's how people think about AGI. There is this default association. If it's AI, then it's sort of like ChatGPT. So basically, a lot of things in the AI space happens on the cloud, which is okay. That's you have a lot of resources there in terms of compute and storage and so on. But at the same time, we know that AI on the cloud has some limitations, and it's been voiced by many researchers and companies. Specifically, it's not really scalable. People are already talking about the energy crisis, energy gap. In fact, we know that the cloud and data center construction in the world is slowing down, especially in some parts of the world that kind of energy deficient. And because there is just so much energy consumption happens when you conduct AI on the cloud. It works fine, but it's not efficient. It has other problems too. Like, what if you need to perform and we'll talk about some use cases in a moment. What if you need to perform your critical task in the field, like helping a remote worker doing his job, and there is no connectivity to the cloud. What do you do, right? So I think so. Those are some intrinsic limitations of the cloud. So it's not efficient. There is quite a bit of latency because you need to access the cloud, you need to get the response back, and so on. And there is this dependency on connectivity, like in some places to do there. So that's where Edge AI and TinyML come to play and come to shine, because we are doing machine learning and AI workloads in the physical world, or at the boundary of the physical and the digital world. And this is, we believe, the ultimate and probably the only scalable way to do AI in the real world. Basically collect data and digest data and analyze data and make it actionable where the data lives. That's in the physical world. Like, for example, in the Schneider Electric examples, some of those examples, you have some power plants, you have other manufacturing facilities, and they generate a lot of data, sensor data, camera data, people data. And why would you send this data to the cloud and get them back and process them? You just process the data right there. So like for example, one use case is predictive maintenance, and there are many Edge AI and TinyML companies doing this kind of things. So the use case here is you put several sensors around your plant. Like, for example, it can be vibration sensors, it can be audio sensors collecting some noise levels, it can be vision sensors or environmental sensors. They collect data, and if operations go normal, then you don't need to send data to the cloud like every second. So, but if there is something abnormal is happening or about to happen, and I think when it's about to happen, it's even more valuable. Then your AI models, they can predict like hey, this piece of engine or machine or fan is about to fail, and then you maintenance before the catastrophic event happens, which can be actually quite expensive. So, and we have some data from companies who do this type of activities, and it's actually quite significant in terms of productivity gain and also overall operational loss. It can be like, for example, the uptime of these machines can be increased up to like 20-30%, which is quite significant, especially if you talk about like big industries like oil and gas or energy and so on. So that's where the Edge AI and TinyML comes to help. And in the past, you had some plants and manufacturing with these sensors, but there wasn't really a good way to aggregate, to consolidate, and to digest this information. But now with Edge AI and TinyML technologies being available and affordable and deployable, it takes manufacturing. We're talking about manufacturing is one of the use cases here. Completely next level. We're talking about digitization of industries. So kind of back to the main point I was going to make, why we are so bullish about Edge AI and TinyML. It really brings this level of intelligence right to the data level, and that's actually quite significant there. I think another important aspect of Edge AI, which I think we're getting a lot of very, very positive feedback from the customers and end users, is data security and data privacy, which again, we live in a very complex world, and all these data-related aspects are becoming more and more important. So we see more and more customers voicing concern about data being sent to the cloud and how they are managed. So there is a big notion and interest from companies and end users to own their data, to control their data. And that's, again, where Edge AI and TinyML helps them to do so, because in this case, again, there is no dependency on the cloud. People who generate data, or companies who generate data, they own their own data, they control their data, and they make their data actionable for their enterprise, for their production, for their operations. So that's why I think, again, fundamentally thinking and fundamentally talking, Edge AI is the way to go for real world AI applications. Again, for those reasons, it's energy efficiency, which is scalable. It's affordability. You're not dependent on the cost of the cloud infrastructure, and we can talk about cost of ownership in more depth here, and also data privacy, data security, data sovereignty. I think those are the fundamental things, and that's what drives AI there. I think Edge AI is still a new beast in a way because people have been using cloud for quite some time. So we already see quite a bit of interest in this space and deployments, and I feel that we're getting into the FOMO effect, like fear of missing out effect. A couple of years ago, manufacturing and enterprise companies, they were just curious about AGI. Yeah, this is interesting. This is cool. We are going to keep an eye on this. And now they're like, okay, I need to do something about it. And we see more and more use cases coming up, and more companies joining this. And it's actually a great time and great place to be today.
So the benefits are quite clear, but let's talk about some of the challenges. When we are putting intelligence back to the sensors or closer to the production, as close as possible to the machine, to the operations, does it mean that we need completely different sensors? Are they bigger? And what are the challenges in deploying Edge AI solutions?
Yeah, I think in terms of sensors, I think there are plenty. I would say there will be probably more sensors in terms of them being smart in a way, more digital with some AI inside of the sensors. And this is happening. Like some of the sensor companies, like leading sensor companies, we're talking about Bosch, ST Micro, Infineon. Those are leading sensor companies. They're bringing more intelligence into the sensor itself. That's the tiny ML. But I think talking about challenges in this field, I see two, and they're somewhat related. One is if you're talking specifically about industries like energy or oil and gas and other traditional energy. Typically, they don't really have an army of PhD or IT or data scientists, this type of people who can do it. So they basically need to have a layer like system integrator type of companies or companies like Schneider Electric that can help them to deploy their solutions. So that creates a little bit of a timing effect here because you need to have this part of the ecosystem develop, like again, system integrators and other ones. So that's one. And second part is, very broadly speaking, is the software part. Because in general, if you're talking about manufacturing and industrial IoT and IoT in general, historically, this field has been suffering from being fragmented. So it's not like you have one software, you have one device that solves all the technology problems. Like in a smartphone platform, you have one platform and then you have 8 billion of users who use this, right? So I think in the industrial IoT space, you have Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and they have all different flavors. So it's not like one size fits all there. So there is this fragmentation that slows things down. So basically, we need to have very robust and very scalable software platforms, specifically for deployment. So again, the sensors are there, the AI processors are there, AI accelerators are there. But how do you connect all these pieces of hardware in a seamless way, in a scalable way, and also in a secure way? Because obviously there is a concern with AI, like what if someone hacks your manufacturing plant, right? That's not a good thing. So this is probably the next level to make this software layer and deployment layer, like ML ops, DevOps, really scalable, secure, and affordable. And there are many companies working in this field, small and large. I would say this is probably the next level of innovations to make it truly scalable, more more in the software and deployment. And also, there is one more angle here is educating the market because, again, in many cases, we are talking to traditional industries. They hear about ChatGPT again, but they may not hear about these capabilities, what they can do at the edge in terms of technologies and how it's going to translate into their language. What is there for them if I'm going to use Edge AI or tiny ML technology? What is going to give me? Is it going to save my productivity or reduce number of incidents or what? I think so. That piece also needs to be done. Basically, educating the market, building more awareness there, and that's, by the way, what the foundation does. We have one of the working groups. We call it blueprints. So it's really showing how do you build blueprints for different industries. How do you deploy it there? So it's kind of moving from the technology level one level up to system level, deployment level. Those are the challenges, I should say. But again, challenges always come with opportunities. Whoever is going to solve these problems in a big scale is going to be big winner in the company-wise or startups. And we're talking about very short timeline here. I think we're talking about probably a couple of years until we're going to see massive growth in this space.
Yeah, and as you said, so many companies are already more engaged in the topic. Previously, they were just following Edge AI, looking for some examples. Today, they are interested, they want to try. And as you said, there is some work that has to be done at the level of operations, of systems. Do you have any examples of a use case that was particularly successful, that was a surprise to you, maybe in a positive way?
There are many use cases. I think if you're talking about, and it depends also on the vertical. I think one of the vertical of interest here, as we discussed, is manufacturing, like predictive maintenance, for example. I think with Gen AI, for example, large language models and Gen AI are becoming more popular. Again, driven by the innovations happening with cloud AI. But what is also happening now, SLMs, small language models, are becoming more and more capable and popular. And you can run these SLMs on embedded devices. And what it means that you can run some of the generative AI workloads there. I think one of the use cases we've done here at Qualcomm, it's a worker assistant, and the problem statement there that the machineries and in general operations are becoming more and more complex there. So how do we empower workers who maybe not? There is quite a bit of tribal knowledge happens in these fields, but how do you give them the tools to make sure they can effectively and efficiently operate there? So we developed some techniques using generative AI and running generative AI at the edge. And that gives a tool, like physically a tool or like a device for workers to perform their tasks very, very accurately with no human error and much faster than you do it otherwise. And it also helps with training new workforce there using this type of things. So that's one of the emerging trends we see in this field is Gen AI getting into the edge. And by the way, the foundation is going to have a 2-day event in the end of May, and it's also on the website, specifically Gen AI on the Edge. This is the number 3 in the series there. So that's this use case, bringing Gen AI to the edge and do worker assistant type of operations of all kind of things. Like, for example, if a worker needs to perform some operations on a piece of equipment, and if he or she needs to access a precise step-by-step manual how to do it in a prescriptive way, then on his handheld device, he can get all the steps like, hey, this is the piece of equipment, and this piece of equipment was served last time a year ago, and now it's due for maintenance, and you need to perform this A, B, C, D type of steps to get it done, and then it gets into the records. So this type of things, what used to be done previously kind of manually, now it can be automated, and again, it reduces time, it reduces human errors, and in general helps with operation. Same is also true, for example, in warehouses, for example. Same thing, I think we are talking to some customers in this space, and they're saying that today many operations of warehouses based on a piece of paper. Like somebody gets there and makes notes, and then who knows what happens with those notes afterwards, right? So there is no history, those things. So that's again where Edge AI is coming to help there, because once you have data, it becomes more data-driven decisions, and then the technology is there. Another use case, very broad use case and very broad vertical, is in retail. I think retail is becoming smarter. It's like there are a lot of vision-based technologies there, camera-based technologies, how to monitor the state of your store, empty stores, self checkout lines, customer behavior, and do workflows. How to do all this optimization there. So that's a big field there. So there are a lot of opportunities in the smart spaces, smart cities, smart offices, smart home type of applications, bringing this type of technology there. I think, like, for example, in the smartphone, several tiny mail companies, they launch products with acoustic detection of some events. Like, for example, glass breakage. You could have a sensor at home, and if somebody breaks in with the glass, you get a detection and you get a notification immediately. Something happens there, or some video-based technologies. I think the Tiny Mail Foundation, talking about smart spaces, Tiny Mail Foundation had a hackathon with City of San Jose last year on the pedestrian safety. How do you use this type of technology to improve safety, especially in some areas where you see most accidents, some dangerous intersections, or some dangerous things. So I think there is a program here in the US and in San Jose, here in the Bay Area. It's called Net Zero, how to reduce all these fatalities, traffic fatalities to zero. So, and that's again where technology comes to play there, vision-based Edge AI. So many use cases, I think, and that's the beauty of Edge AI and Tiny ML. Whenever we talk to people in different industries, they always find like, wow, I can use it in my space. Like for example, in agriculture, I think we have an example in a farm in Arizona. Actually, it's a winery in Arizona. They use the sensors to improve their watering cycle, and by doing so, they can improve utilization of water in the farm by 30%, which is actually quite significant given all the problems we have with water. So this is just an illustration. Every time we talk to people in different areas, then you see this. And then one of my favorite examples actually comes from Africa. We have a tiny ML company called the IBs. So apparently, this is in particular from Kenya. In Kenya, what I learned, that the honey business, bee business, is big part of their agriculture economy. They have like 90,000 farms there, and the problem statement there is they have about 30% every year. They have about 30% loss in bee families, because it is disease related or some human act related. And what this company developed is they put a small sensor inside of a beehive. So it's a temperature sensor, audio sensor, and vibration sensor. And by just making this closed feedback loop, they can see what happens inside of the beehive, if it's healthy or not healthy, if it needs some attention, or if someone comes try to steal it. So you have this kind of very, very basic device, but by bringing AI and Edge AI technology there, you can close the loop and you can really improve these things. This is again just an example completely orthogonal example. Or another one, my brain kicks in. It's like 7:30 in the morning. Yeah. Another example, another company, a tiny email AGI company, they use vision-based technology for salmon, for fish farming. So you put small sensors under the water, and you can monitor the health of your fish farm, for example. So, and again, you can get this very valuable information how to monitor if you need to include any kind of actions there. So pretty much in every industry, and we are getting in this kind of phase when companies and businesses are becoming aware of this type of capabilities, and that's why we believe it's going to be explosive. Like when people learn how to use it and what it means for them. That's kind of the barrier and the opportunity we spoke about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I definitely love all the examples, and I'm convinced now that AGI is the future for all of these industries that you mentioned. So my last question will be about how can young innovators, how can companies looking into this field start with AGI? What advice would you give them?
Well, the number one advice is just jump in. This is an exciting field. You're going to jump in and you're not going to regret it. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of rewards. If you're talking about specific skills and specific gaps, more and more AI tools are becoming automated. They're basically becoming tools. So focus on learning not so much tools, but more on how to connect all these different pieces and to solve problems. It is my belief that kind of the future of workforce and the future of education will be more problem solution based, not just kind of you learn one piece of knowledge and then you use one piece of knowledge for the rest of your life. That's kind of in the past. It will be more how do you use all the techniques and how do you constantly learn to solve problems around, like problems in your workplace, problem in around us. So I think getting kind of in this problem solution mindset is important, basically to be agile, to learn new things, and obviously you need to get some basics in the AI space, and that's what AGI Foundation is doing. As I mentioned, there are like already 100,000 people took some basic level education in this space, and we are developing more material, more certification in this space to help to bridge this skill gap. But in general, I think what is unique about edge AI compared to just cloud AI, it's a combination of two things. It's the machine learning in general and AI, and embedded systems, like how do you do it at small devices. So those are kind of the intersection of these two fields. It's embedded systems, embedded devices, and machine learning and AI that creates this very, very interesting momentum. So basically, to sum up, don't wait, jump in, get your experience in this field, and then work on problem solving there. So the problem solving skills are going to become more and more important there to be able to connect all these different and sophisticated technologies.
Okay, thank you so much for all the advice. It was a very valuable conversation. And thank you for staying with us at such a morning hour for you. So I'm sure that our listeners will appreciate the conversation, and we will share the link to the Edge AI Foundation in case they would like to learn more and follow the courses that are available for them. Thank you so much.
All the pleasure was mine, and thank you for having me again.
Thanks for joining us today on AI at Scale podcast. Be sure to visit our se.com/AI website and learn more about our AI at Scale solutions. Head over to our Schneider blog platform to read more. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your preferred platform and share it with your network. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.